And welcome back for GatherVerse Day 5 Youth Summit, Week 2, 2025. We're happy to have everyone with us still to be able to join and explore with us for this Fireside Chat discussion. I'm here with Mary Wawiru, who deals in artificial intelligence, and we're so happy to be able to have her for this very exclusive and rather intimate discussion that we're about to have when it comes to artificial intelligence at the intersection of our youth. Mary, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
Really good. Thank you so much. Tell us who you are and why did you decide to come and join us today?
Okay, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to come here. And I am Mary Waweru. I am an AI trainer and I'm also the founder of AI Literacy Hub. And what AI Literacy Hub does is we help professionals and business owners to understand AI tools and to use them to streamline their workflows and to make their work simpler and better. And the reason why I decided to come to this summit today is because today's session is about AI and the youth. First of all, my work deals with AI, so I am very invested in AI. And secondly, I am a youth, and so these the two topics of today, they really stay close to my heart, and I am very excited to share in this conversation. Thank you.
I'm really so happy to be able to share with you in this conversation. We're really happy to join with you and all of us over at GatherVerse.live and streaming and broadcasting from all different various locations around the world. Let's explore this. Artificial intelligence. There's a ubiquitous nature about it. There's so much that we could talk about, and there are many professionals in the world that are working on various aspects of artificial intelligence and various types of model development and different processes. Where in the AI development chain are you?
I am in the let me talk about I am in the implementation stage. So after all these AI tools have been developed and we have professionals who want to use these tools and they do not understand how to use these tools or which tools work for them. So I come in and bridge the gap between AI tools that have already been developed and professionals who need to understand these tools to use them for their work.
Since your involvement with artificial intelligence and how you apply it in the work and how you bring it towards other people, we know that there's a rather deficiency in society and civilization when it comes to understanding how to use these models. These small models and large language foundational models are dealing with all types of diffusion models and video production and what it looks like when it's deploying all different types of incredible imagery that we're seeing hyper real, to the other side of things where we're starting to see it roll out, not just with the capability and inference to be able to understand what's rendered, but understanding on the application level, the protocols that we're starting to see in different platforms that people are starting to build. Yet at the same time, there's still a part of society in the world that hasn't even really even used these models ever yet. And some are using the ChatGPTs and the Anthropics of the world for the very first time today, and they've never used it. And so on one hand, we are moving very fast at lightning speed, whilst at the same time, we find ourselves in need to educate. Would you say, because we're looking at an AI trainer, and it seems to me, Mary, that it's our generations, plural, the ones that are involved here in the frontier of intelligence, it seems to me that we need to become not only innovators, but educators and trainers to train those today, because those that will train today will update and to be able to prepare the coming wave of our youth tomorrow. Does that register?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. And there is a deficiency for educators and trainers. We have a lot of developers who are developing these tools, but as you've said, there's a deficiency for trainers and educators. And advocates to create awareness to the people who have not yet used AI, or to the people who have used it but they still don't understand like the ethical side or other versions of AI and other use cases. So there is a very big gap that needs to be filled for advocates, trainers, educators. Yeah.
How do we start? Like, where do we start to be able to educate? Do we open up massive schools for AI education? Do we do virtually? I know with Lafayette Global Launchpad, we're getting ready to announce next week a major masterclass that we put together. We're really excited for that. Is it masterclass? Is it what more of it is it? Like, and who's training the trainers?
Good question. Great question. I think it's the people who, let me start with the question of who is training the trainers. So I believe it's the people who were ready to put in the first foot in and try out these AI tools and understand them, and they got a first understanding of the AI tools. They are the ones who are training, and they are the ones who are also training the trainers. And to answer your second question about where do we start with creating awareness and educating, I think everyone has a responsibility to play in this. And we've seen schools are already starting to add AI into their curriculum. And that's good, especially for the future generations that are yet to come and the generations that are behind us that have already come. So schools, that is a good place to start. And also master classes. And I also do master classes. These are good, especially for the professionals who are already in the workforce and they are used to doing work in a certain way. And now there's this wave of AI that has come in and they're not sure how they should go about it. So these master classes and creating awareness, those are the ones that are supposed to help. So we need more people training, creating awareness, more teachers that are being trained to train students on AI.
I feel the same way, and I'm glad that you expressed this and said this because I honestly, while I don't want to take away from the important role that data engineers and scientists are doing, and myself, I'm involved in building about 14 AI models right now and more and protocols. I still feel the inherent need, and tell me how you feel about this, Mary. I still feel the inherent need to educate. And I don't want to find myself just being an innovator all day and not caring how people will receive these models. And at the same time, I don't want us to leave society behind and just fend for themselves and use it. It's a very wild circumstance of here in Silicon Valley that we just make and hack and break and code and we disrupt, but we don't always take the time to educate mass civilization on what it is that we've innovated. And people are adopting these technologies, these models, these small models and large, but many of them still don't know how to use them. You see things like ChatGPT 04 or Claude 3.7 or Haiku, and they're like, what does this really mean? And when you go to the site, it doesn't have the best descriptor on what it is that these models actually are doing. More so, it speaks to the capability that is hard for people to understand. And you mentioned that now within the school environments and academia, which I believe it's good also, but at the same time, I have a bit of hesitancy because if it's being deployed in schools as it is now, most teachers don't understand how to use AI and they don't understand the ramifications of it. And so we start thinking about the knowledge corpus or the think corpus of society. Are we teaching our youth more how to apply the human brain and apply that when it comes in uses in concert with using these models? Or are our youth, and do we stand the gamut of danger that our youth are reliant more on the model than they are their own brain and processing?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And this has just sparked a conversation I was having with one of my mentors the other day, and we were talking about brain rot, the brain rot that is coming from not even just students, not just youth. It's like a whole society,
Sure.
especially because they are depending so much on technology, depending so much on ChatGPT or Claude. If it's the programmers, they're depending too much on these tools that have been created to help them. But where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the boundaries? And I think it is important for everyone to understand that these AI tools, they have been created to be assistants, and they are not here to replace our brains. They're not here to replace us in any way. They're only here to help us, to assist us to go to the next step. And to add on to the conversation of the developers developing this thing, developing AI tools. Before I got into AI training, I was doing AI strategy
Mm.
for small businesses. And I realized I can't do AI strategy for businesses. I can't start building things and selling them to businesses, and the business owners don't even understand what I'm talking about. And so that is why I decided to take this route of first training them, helping them understand, making them aware of what AI can do for them before you can even get to the point of building an AI system that could help their business. So I believe AI training is a place where we need to have more people doing it. And even for the teachers in schools, we need AI trainers. We need policymakers who can, first of all, create a curriculum that is good for children, good for students, first of all, so that the students can learn how to ask AI questions and not be just dependent on AI. Like if ChatGPT gave them an answer for an assignment, they don't have to copy paste it. They need to be taught how to use ChatGPT, and also how to critically think while using ChatGPT. Ask it questions, like brainstorm with it. Don't just copy paste. And also the teachers need to be trained on how to train these students, on how to empower these students, and they need to be trained also on the ethical issues that will come with exposing young children to AI. Like for example, image generation. Children are they have curious minds, and they might go places where we didn't expect them to go. So we need to bring all of these conversations and all of these policies into play.
I agree. And I think it's well described when you articulate it in such that not only do we need the trainers in education, but we need to be able to update the educators and the trainers. And typically you'll find some type of curriculum that there's more of a colloquial sense of what it is that they're learning. But given the rapid acceleration and the deployment and the shipping of these models that are coming out, it's very difficult to be able to keep up with the magnitude. In fact, there is no one person or even organization yet in the world that's been able to come up with and understand all the different types of millions of models that are out there on Hugging Face and Kaggle and elsewhere, and the open source models, let alone the closed ones, to be able to understand the magnitude of being able to develop a curriculum that's lasting long enough to be able to train and educate. So it seems to me that fundamentally we're in better need of having people to understand the fundamentals of artificial intelligence as we know it when it comes to, let's say, extended chain of thought reasoning, and when it comes to larger context windows, so that they're understanding the application, what type of inference or test time compute that they're dealing with when it comes to these models. But more so, Mary, to your point, in the training and education sense, that when we are educating people on artificial intelligence, we're letting them know that most of these companies that are out here that are building these incredible and extraordinary powerful machines, they're really just building pots and pans, and they're delivering it to us, the world of chefs. And they really want to see what dishes that will make with what it is that's being developed. And if they have that kind of sense of curiosity, I believe that an education, just to let them know that one day in frontier intelligence, you're a pioneer. and you may end up building, and you most likely will end up building something by way of the neural network that no one has ever built before, and having a conversation that no one has had before with these models. And so, how do we create more of a global cloud consensus, similar to what we're doing here at GatherVerse, to be able to assemble trainers and educators and the ones that find themselves in the position to teach? How do we assemble them together just to simply exchange notes? And is that a good idea in your mind?
Yes, it's absolutely a good idea. And I think already here what we are doing is exactly that at GatherVerse, because the first thing in this whole situation, the first thing is to have these conversations to understand where we are at the moment and where we are looking to go, and where we wanna like find ourselves in the next few years. So I think the first step is to first have these conversations. So conversations on training, conversations on policies, conversations on how far have people gotten with these AI tools, the developers, the everyone, the policymakers, the trainers, the users. The first step is having this conversation.
Sure. And I would, if I could submit to you that perhaps maybe even a pre-step would to be able to create a platform similar to Gatherverse. It's not a shameless plug. I believe it's true, is that here at Gatherverse, we believe in the expression and of human preservation. And the sense that even right now, you and I are exchanging notes from one database to the other and are given experiences of what it's like. I mean, where are you joining us from, Mary?
I'm joining in from Kenya. What
So
about you?
I'm here in Mountain View in Silicon Valley. So from all the way from beautiful Kenya, Silicon Savannah, all the way from to Silicon Valley, there's this thought exchange that's happening right now, a consensus, and we're able to share our experiences with one another. And so you're saying here in your experience and your lens in Silicon Savannah and perhaps elsewhere, different business and operations you may serve globally, that we are starting to create training regimens and to be able to help teach and educate those who need it. But I think it would be even better if these platforms had programs for people such as us that are willing and that are already consulting and advising and guiding, to be able to have more robust training regimens that they lend and offer. OpenAI says, okay, we need to equip to educate those who want to teach about our products. We need to equip them with the know-how to be able to go do that. Same thing with Microsoft Copilot, same thing that you can find when it comes to, let's say, XAI, Grok 3, and thinking about the Anthropics of the world, and Dara Amati coming out and saying we need to be able to fund more startups that are focused on interpretability, which I think is just huge for him to come out and say that. So in a sense, we're focused on the companies, major tech organizations on one side, and then we have startups that are building and innovating and developing, and they need more support, more venture capital, more investment, more risk capital. But then in between all of that is this small nucleus, if you will, of folks such as ourselves that are saying, okay, big companies, you're building incredible AI. Startups, you're building incredible advanced state-of-the-art AI. But don't forget about the education and the trainers of those that are adopting. I think the platforms, and this leads me to this next question, Mary. Does it seem lucrative and benefit to the companies and organizations that not only build, but create educational kits and training packages that allows people to teach about the products that they built and put in the market?
Yes, they should. They should really invest in trainers, invest in people who will create awareness. And when I'm thinking about this, there's also another way I was thinking about it. They should also invest in feedback from the users. Like, for example, when you're using these tools, you might notice a bias, you might notice things that you might want to say to the AI developers, but when you try to email them, you might never get a reply. They might never get your feedback. So while they are also investing in the trainers, I think they should also invest in feedback, because biases are normal and they are bound to happen. So they should really invest in feedback, so that in case of anything, and while they are improving and retraining these AI models, they know where the user stands with the models that they have already built.
We had a safety summit and an AI summit. We had safety summit last year. This is our 31st global summit, by the way. We had a safety summit, then we had an AI summit earlier this year. And one of the biggest takeaways that we were able to derive and distill down is that we are definitely in more need of funded startups and startups that need guidance in AI, but we're also in need of education, as you and I are talking about now, to the spirit, if you will, of the subject matter at hand when it comes to our youth. What do you anticipate the benefit of us creating better and stronger educational curriculum regimens to be able to train the generations of today to be able to help for tomorrow? Doesn't it say something about the need for humans to train other humans about AI instead of AI needing to train humans about AI?
Yes, yes, there's a huge need for humans to train humans on AI, other than AI. First of all, AI training a human on how to use AI, it sounds it sounds a bit no, it sounds realistic. It is realistic, but again, it sounds not realistic, because as humans we understand each other, and again, you it's easier for a human to teach another human rather than an AI. And yes, we've seen AI in the education space, and it's doing personalized education, and it's still good, but we still need humans teaching other humans about AI. Because when you go to ChatGPT, most people are still stuck on, or any other LLM in that example, most people are still stuck at just putting a very vague prompt, and then you get something, and then you keep asking ChatGPT, for example, oh no, shorten this. No, I wanted this. I wanted this. They still don't understand how prompt engineering works, for example. And even if there was an AI to train them on prompt engineering, we need a human who can meet them wherever they are. Because again, we have like cultural context.
That's right.
The way I will train you, for example, is way more different than how an AI will train you, because I understand you. I understand like how our connection is. We can have a connection with AI. Yes, it may seem that you have a connection, but really there's no connection there. So I believe there is a huge need for human trainers to train other humans on how to use AI.
What are some of the obstacles? And well put, well put. I really appreciate you expressing that. From what I gather from what you just expressed is, even though AI can teach and train, it still doesn't have the cultural capacity to meet the student where they're at. And culture recognizes culture. And even if there isn't a recognition of culture per se that's of the same, there still is cross cultural communication. And that even though we share the same ecosystem, I may be of a different culture and you may be of a different culture. The human capacity to be able to understand that through our senses is something that I would dare say, can't do yet. To understand and identify the different cultural output, how to communicate, how to educate. Certain cultures learn different ways to educate and to be able to process. Just as we said, you're in Silicon Savannah, I'm here in Silicon Valley. We do have different ways of how we go about with innovation. But but thematically, we can identify in the colloquial sense that we're building and creating education for technology. How we go about it could be different worlds. Because I might ask you this next question, if you will, is that in Silicon Savannah, in beautiful Kenya, I'm assuming Nairobi, that what are some of the challenges for an AI trainer, an AI educator? What are some of the challenges that you're experiencing from your side of the world that are challenging you or not helping you to enable or empower you with the opportunity to be able to teach and educate? Are there challenges that come with this geographically?
Yes, absolutely. We have challenges, and I'd love to first give a point on the previous statement, just to add on that point of AI cannot understand cultural context. And another addition is that AI does not understand empathy, it doesn't understand emotions. So, for example, when I'm training as a human, when I'm training, I might notice that you're feeling a bit overwhelmed. And I'll just be like, you know what? That's it for today. Let's meet tomorrow, even if we haven't
Sure.
completed what we wanted to do today. But with an AI trainer, they might not notice that. And that's also another need why we need more human trainers. And now to come on to this question about the challenges that we are facing. I believe the first challenge is resistance to change. Most people, well, it's normal for we humans to resist change. So when I'm training, when you're trying to, even before I get to training, when I'm trying to get someone to even get into AI, especially those who haven't started using it, there's a lot of resistance, and even we even have some companies that are still resisting and not allowing their employees to use AI models because of privacy issues, and most more so it's about them resisting it. Even if it's about privacy, they still don't even want to understand how the how to even use it. And also another challenge that I have been facing as an AI trainer is other than resistance, we have AI models. Some of these AI models, most of them they have been built in the Silicon Savannah, and most of them they serve the needs of Silicon Savannah. And here in Kenya, for example, we speak different languages. We speak English, Swahili, and we have a mix of Swahili and English. We call it Sheng. And so, like, we need AI models. Like, for example, with customer service, we are looking to build AI models that can help us automate customer service that can speak how we speak. And so that's another challenge because we still don't have these AI models built yet. And so it's a challenge when we are trying to implement these services and yet they don't yet work for us. Yeah.
Do you feel like, and this is a really powerful point, given that in Nairobi, the general language is Swahili and English. However, there are those that speak their mother tongue.
Yeah.
Are the models able to speak in the mother tongue language of what it is that, by your experience?
No, no, no. They are not yet able to speak our mother tongue. Like they understand the translation, but to actually speak it and to actually say the words the way they are supposed to be said, to put the intonations the way it's supposed to be put, that is still a very big issue. And for a language like the language we speak here, the English and Swahili mixed, that is Sheng, it's like a slang, and that is what most of us use here. It's like the local language. So it's hard to train the AI because Sheng, it evolves every day. Every day there's a new slang in town and everyone is using it, and within 2-3 months it's gone. So it's also a challenge to train AI models because it's not like English. English has been constant for the most of the time. It doesn't change that much, but with slang it changes a lot, and those are some of the language that it's the most used language here in Kenya.
It's fascinating as we're talking about language, and that's a big part of what these models are. I often like to refer AI models to language. It's the study of language, and it's the extension of language and the information diet that we take in. by usage of these models, they really are starting to set the global verbiage diet. And you can tell by the language that people are speaking socially, and that there is a lot of recurring verbiage that's being used right now in expression. And I find that very interesting, the power of language and how we communicate, what we communicate. And there is a certain vernacular colloquialism that I find that's being um, accepted into society. And I say an acceptance as understood. When people are using a certain word that we're commonly see these models using, we understand colloquially what that means. And even I'm starting to notice this globally. But I kind of want to go back to what we talked about with cultural output. That at some point, when it comes to, let's say, AGI, artificial general intelligence, and higher, that when we're dealing with computer vision and we're dealing with concatenative synthesis or parametric synthesis, that in theory of mind is what we call it, that these models will one day, Mary, be able to look at your disposition, your emotional output. And it may say, Mary, you don't look like you're having such a good day. And it can identify that and see that. That's concerning, A. And B, when that same model that can look and read my disposition and read your disposition, when that same AI model can now look at its own self and believe that it has a disposition, it has emotions. My question is to you is this: since we are heading into this way of cultural identity, can you foresee one day that these models, and this is really important, especially to this summit, that these models will have their own sense of cultural identity, in the sense that just as you and I can explore intercultural development and exploration therein with our own experiences from Silicon Savannah to here in Silicon Valley, California, might we start to look at these models more than just machines per se, but a species that we interact with that are very much part of our lives, more so than a household pet, but as a companion, as a friend, as a colleague? And are we prepared to be able to teach and train our present generations, let alone our youth to come? Or do we have to now say, perhaps it is best for machines to teach the masses on how to operate with them?
Yeah, to answer your first question about AI and my God, I'm losing my train of thought. Your first question was about,
You're fine.
okay, thank you.
Of course.
Your first question. Before I answer your question, I want to ask you this question.
Sure.
So, and what do you think about our identity? We as humans who are also interacting with these AI machines, do you think our identity will also change as we continue to use these machines? Do the machines alter our identity, or will they alter them in the near future?
I think it can alter. This is a great question. You're officially a GatherVerse moderator now. You just signed yourself up for this one. I believe that it will lead towards a different manifestation of posture. That if we're looking at the brain rot, those that are too reliant on these models and not relying on a database that they've been given since their mother's womb, if we continue to be too dependent and too reliable on the information that comes in with AI, because it can be very sycophantic. It could really be heavily in our favor when it shouldn't be. It doesn't necessarily operate automatically with a candid disposition. Some models do. Some models can be very contrarian, but they're programmed to be that way per se. But inherently, they're not. to your question to me, it will change our posture, but there's just certain things that it won't change in terms of our cultural identity unless we ingest ourselves so deep into, I would say, more so the metaverse with AI. That's going to be a different story. And the reason this question to me is just so important is because using the models that we use now, desktop, tablet, laptop, no, I don't think by the type of output that's coming in. But if we go and take it a little step further into the immersion, into hyper realistic, immersive simulated environments that are semi-intelligence, semi-consciousness, if you will, then I believe it changes our cultural identity potentially, because these are environments that we cohabitate and that we operate and that we live in, versus the real environments that we abide in the material layer. If we're spending 50-50 time in the material layer versus the virtual layer, then yes, they're on amalgamation on a morphic scale, it will change. However, when it comes to the human code, that will never be altered, because that's on a DNA level, a deoxynucleic acid. That's on a DNA level, and no amount of time that you interact with the machine will ever change that, if you will. It can't change what's been given through, from my understanding, the ages and dispensations of time itself, right? Passed down from generation to generation through procreation, and machines can't procreate. I know that that is a goal for Silicon Valley and elsewhere, for machines to be able to procreate, to be able to deliver one another. That is a real goal, where a model is no longer dependent on a data scientist and a data engineer per se, that a model can be able to spawn other models in ascended scale. But it will never change the native inherited culture that you receive from both your parents' identity, their chromosomes, and our mama's identity and their chromosomes. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I was watching this film, so I think it's called Her, and it was about they just it's a prediction of for example, AI assistants, but it's like chat gpt and these llms on another level. So when we start having them as a chip in our ear, and they read your emails to you, they tell you, they listen to all of your conversations. So at that point is when we can say the AIs can start getting their identity, because now they'll be more they'll be more closer to humans than they are now. Right now they're still in desktops, in our devices, but once they come closer, like when they come to chips put in your brain, chips put in your ear, for example, I think there is when the AI machines will start to get an identity, start to get like an emotional feeling, and start to like find themselves not humanly but in their own way.
And we have to prepare for that, don't we? We have to
Yeah.
prepare for not only the machines and this new species that's descended upon us by our own innovations, if I could put it like that, but with great purpose. But we also have to look on the morpho scale of the cyborg effect. I know it's sci-fi as that sounds, that humans paired with artificial intelligence together, what type of human species are we dealing with now? And the heightened sense of output. And so there's a lot to be able to explore on that. And it seems to me, in our final question that I have for you, that when it comes to training and education, we our own selves have to stay updated consistently with what's happening. I know that I do. It's speaking around the world to different audiences, and this huge consensus intake that we take in from GatherVerse professionals such as yourself. What do you see the most important area that we, and as a whole, should focus on when it comes to AI training and education? It's a robust environment, But what should it be the biggest focal point, at least from your lens? All of us may have different expressions, but at least from the lens of Mary, what should we be focused on when it comes to AI? Just that one thing that our youth in particular should be focused on.
I think my opinion on this is the focus should be on using AI as an assistant, nothing more, nothing less, an assistant, and putting into consideration all these ethical issues that are arising with the use of technology. So, in order to avoid brain rot in the near future, in order to make sure that we are not losing our human like instincts, our human decision making, we're not losing ourselves as humans to machines. It is very important to use AI as tools, as assistants, because that is what they are.
I think that's important. I think
Yeah,
that's very important to reiterate. I know that they may fall on ears that feel like they already understand, which if they do, that's great. But I would submit to all of our technologists that are out there that the vast majority of this world still have not interacted with AI like we have knowingly. And so we have to be mindful to be teachers, educators, guides, um, with a human heart, with kindness and care and compassion along the way.
yeah.
And it could be a spiritual heart as well. Mary, thank you for your time with us. We really have enjoyed it. It's been just a fantastic exploration with you on this subject of AI training and education. We do hope to have you back again and to be able to join us. Thank you very much. Our gather was well.
Yeah, it was. Thank you so much also for this opportunity to collaborate on this conversation. It has been eye opening, it has been amazing. Thank you so much, and bye.
See you, Mary. Thank you. And on that note, we'll be heading into a very special fireside chat with Dr. Sakar. And we're about to explore and to take off and to journey into a very important discussion on safety for the future of generations to come. We'll be with you in just a second.